So here are a few basics about PowerPoint. I've just opened up PowerPoint and it's started by giving me a load of default formats for presentations. I usually just pick a blank white one, but I'm actually going to start by opening one that I've made before and called Boring PowerPoint, just to demonstrate what not to do with a PowerPoint. So this is a presentation that's got lots of information on each slide. So if I put this up on screen, it looks like that, and then that. And that defeats the whole object of PowerPoint. If you're making a PowerPoint, you're trying to break information down into digestible chunks for people to understand. So you don't want something that just looks like a book or a handout that they could take away and read. So less is more with PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to make a new presentation. So File, New Presentation. And it looks like that when you do that. Things will be in different places depending on which version of PowerPoint you've got and whether it's on a Mac or a PC. So this is my Mac version. All versions have usually got the same basic things, but they can be in different places. So it gives you a sort of blank thing for the title of your presentation, which you might want to do, or I tend to just get rid of all of the default stuff. So I'm just highlighting that and clicking to delete it. I usually just start from absolute blank. And at the start, it usually sets it out that way round so that it's the same size, same shape as a screen, landscape format, but it doesn't have to be. So something I sometimes do if I want to do something I'm going to print is going to File, Page Setup, and then change it from an on-screen show to A4 paper in portrait format. So it just looks kind of like a printed A4 page now. And I prefer PowerPoint sometimes for things that I'm going to print because it's a little bit more versatile than, for example, Word. Word tends to want to snap things to margins and put things where it thinks you want them to be. Whereas with PowerPoint, you're a lot freer to move pictures and text and various elements around the slide or the page. So that's just my personal thing. So I'm going to go back to page format, page setup rather, and then just change that to an on-screen slideshow, which can be 4:3 or 16:9 or 16:10, depending on whether you're in a widescreen format or whether you've got a narrower screen. So I'll go for a 16:9 on-screen show in landscape format, and I've got something that looks like that. Okay, so just starting with a blank thing, I want to put some information in, so I click on text box and I can just click anywhere on the screen and it gives me a text box that I can type into whatever I want to type into it. And again, not too much information at once, less is more. So within that text box, I can move it around the screen anywhere I like, and then I can make things in the text box themselves centered or justified to the right, justified to the left, or justified both sides, which you can't really see with this, but if it was more text, it would try and line it up both sides rather than just the left or just the right, which might be useful if you were doing something that looked like a newspaper, if you didn't want it to be ragged right, but you want it to be lined up both sides, then you can do that. So you can do all the usual things within this text box that you can in any other Microsoft program. Make it bold, make individual things bold or italics or underlined or a different color. So if I want to make just that bit, for example, green, I can just click on that and change the color to, is that a green? Light green? Green. There we go. Green. It's barely noticeable that that's green, so I don't know, maybe pick another color. Let's change that bit to, well, let's go for more colors, and then it brings up the color wheel. Starts with black, but if I start to move the sliders around, then I get a few different options. So there we go. Purple. Makes it purple. So that's all in one text box, and you can have as many text boxes as you like, and you're free to move them anywhere you like on the page. So already you've got something that's a lot more versatile than Word. As well as text boxes, you can make shapes. So you've got a whole menu of different shapes. So let's make a rectangle, for example. Boom. And then the rectangle can be formatted in all sorts of ways. You've got shortcut tools for doing that. So I can fill it in yellow if I like. I can make the border a different color, black for example. I can make the border thicker by changing the weight, like that. And you may be able to see it's got a slight shadow on it. On mine it does that by default, but it doesn't have to. So I can go into the format menu at the top and then just go format shape, and then it comes up with all sorts of things you can do to it. And I'm going to click shadow and then just untick the shadow and do that. You can make a shape that you've got into a text box. So if you just click on text box and then click the cursor inside the shape, then it turns the shape itself into a text box. I don't like that it's given me white text there. I can just highlight the whole thing and click for a different color of text up there, say, well, black, why not? And it's given me that. All the time I can change the color of the box with these buttons here, and the color of the line, and even the style of the line, so I could change it to a black dashed line, for example, and get that. Okay, I can put objects on top of other objects, or like that. So it could be that I want that, and then I decide I want a star on top of it. So I'll pick a, see if I can find a star. Can't find a star right now. There we are, stars and banners. So there's a star. Draw a star just by dragging that out. Let's change it to a red star. Resize it however you like, change the border however you like, turn the shadow on and off however you like, just by going into format shape. So I could move that on top of there. As well as having a shape that you've turned into a text box, you could just have some text sitting on top of a background. So say I want to draw a rectangle like that and make it yellow, and then I want to sit this text on top of that so that it's got a yellow background. Now if I try to do that now, it's not working because the yellow thing I've just drawn is on top of the text because I drew the text first. But what I can do is change the order of things. So if I click on the yellow box, arrange, and then you've got a whole load of things for reordering objects, and then I can just send it backwards in the sequence, or I'll send it all the way to the back. So if you imagine all of these objects as you're drawing them, they're in a big stack on top of each other, with the first one you draw at the bottom and the last one you draw at the top. So I've just sent the yellow box to the back, so it's further down the stack than the text. So the box is underneath the text, which is how I want it to be. That text doesn't fit in the box, so I can just resize the box. Now it's gone over the edge of the box, so I can just change the font that the text is in, like that. And then I can do two things here. I can highlight around the two things and then move them around together like that. I could think about format object, and then, sorry, not a format object, format, arrange and group. I can group them together, so that's under the arrange menu, arrange group. And what that's done is group those two objects together, the text box and the yellow box, and it treats them as one object now. So I can just click and drag it around like that. So if I move the star on top of that, say, and then I put a big box around them all to highlight them, and then arrange group those together, then all of that is one object. And I'll just move that out of the way. If I click on that now and resize it, see it resizes the rectangle, but it also resizes the star proportionally because the whole thing's one group. It hasn't resized the text because that's always in the font we defined it in, size 14, but I can just go in and make the text bigger if I want. So as well as shapes like that, you can insert all sorts of other things. So you can insert a photo from a file somewhere that you've got, or there's clip art photography. So what have we got here? Various photos, and then I can just insert those however I want, and again resize them, move them about, do what I want with them. So that's one slide, and a PowerPoint presentation consists of several slides, so I want to maybe insert a new slide, and there's a new blank one, and I can go onto that. I've got this list of slides at the side, which I can easily navigate around by just clicking on the one I want to edit. So the new slide, it's just given me, it's got all this default stuff in it again, so I'm just going to highlight that and get rid of it, and then I can work on a new slide. Sometimes I don't want a completely new slide, but I just want the next slide to be a modification of the previous one. So I can go Insert Duplicate Slide, and then it gives me a slide that's identical to the one that I've just had, which I can then change slightly. So I might want some different text in there. And then as I go through the presentation, it's got the same background, but different text as I go through the slides. I'm just going to call up one I did earlier now. So File, Open Recent, and this is called Standard Deviation. And it's a little math thing I did with some notes about comparing data sets. And this is just to show how it's got lots of similar slides. So it's quite wordy, so I tried to introduce the words chunk by chunk, so it wasn't a lot of information at once. And then I've got a thing where I sort some numbers into order for boys and girls exam scores. So each slide is a slight change from the previous one. So I've just changed each slide slightly, and then as I play this slide, this presentation, so play from start. So I talk over this and say what's on the screen, and then I'm talking about sorting these numbers into order, and it kind of makes a little animation where they get sorted into order. So it's very slight changes from one to the next to convey an idea. And then all sorts of other stuff that I'm talking about. And again, each slide just a slight change from the previous one as I introduce and talk about a new point.